I am really relaxed because I finished every beer. I kid you not. Now, that's not bad maybe one night. Now remember the environment I'm going back into. My coworkers, if they were sitting here, they'd be going, holy, she's not telling that story. She never told me that's what she did. Because I told nobody. I was gritting my teeth to get through this job. So every night, I had one day off, where I just kind of slept the day away. I had that 6-pack of beer and that rotten sandwich. Now, I am not a proud woman. This is the first time I've really, truly blamed going, oh my God, what kind of a story is he telling me? But I did that for 2 weeks, and on my drive back down to Portland, I said, okay, that's it. This job, they hired me. I'm going to be training employees in these nice, clean classrooms. The towers are done with. No more 6-packs, no more 7-Eleven sandwiches. I switched to wine. You know, I am a creative person. I am a storyteller. I know I have options. And this was in the early 90s, so I didn't have, IPA or some lovely microbrew. It was Budweiser, baby. We're talking Budweiser. And a good Merlot. I got into wine. Now, did I mention by any chance my name is Maura Bridget Claire Doherty? Irish. High tolerance for alcohol, I'll tell you that. I was good at it. I mean, I excelled. I was good at drinking. But my family wasn't so successful at it. You know, sad story, my sister died of alcoholism. Horrible thing. Named Colleen, fabulous woman, smart, intelligent. Disease, right? My brother tries to kill himself. Didn't succeed. I said, Peter, I'm so glad you failed at this one thing you tried to do. He's like, don't talk to me. And he's still totally loaded. So when I get home and I'm drinking wine every night, I'm thinking, there's this little voice in the back of my head, literally right here, going, you might be an alcoholic, you might have a problem. It's like, no, I'm fine, I'm just fine. You know, the fact that I was groggy-headed, I mean, think of me climbing those towers and I'm hungover the next morning. It's a terrible idea. I'm there to protect workers and I'm drinking to get there to protect them. It's like, it doesn't add up. Took me 2 more years. 2 more years to tell, I had great friends, great job, the whole bit. And I would close the shades in my house and I would sit with a whole bottle and drink the whole thing by myself. Like this is, like I'm a smart woman. It's not rational. But I saw the light. And I don't know how it happened. I think it was when my sister, before she died, called me up on a Sunday night and I actually answered the phone. Now I knew better than to answer the phone because my words would slur. And I didn't want anyone to know. But I remember hearing her words slur. And I thought, I am my sister. And I realized, I've got to stop this. So, well, this is a woman who was in therapy, right? I had 6 siblings, Irish parents. I was in therapy for several years. And I never told my counselor that I had a drinking problem, and it worried me. I started to feel terrible about it. It was all in my head. Oh, no, I don't. I'm fine. No, I'm not. It was like duking it out. So one therapy session, I say, hey, by the way, Barbara, I have a little problem with alcohol. She looks at me. And I could hear her thoughts. Click, 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 click. Her sister's an alcoholic. Click, 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 click. She's Irish. Click, 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 click. Her brother tried to kill himself. Click, click, click. And I thought, that's what I'm paying her for. She's processing all my entire data bank. She goes, that makes sense. But here's what, it was so great. And it just, when I look back, I think, I'm entertaining. I told a great story. She really liked me. And then she's like, what the hell have I been doing all these years? You didn't tell me you were a drinker, Hey, sorry, I failed truth-telling. I didn't tell you the truth. So she said, do you have alcohol in the house now? Duh, of course I do. I said, yes. I kept it really, I was serious. I really was. I said, yes, I do. Can you pour it down the drain? And I'll tell you, it was like the earth opened in front of me. And I was falling in. Because you know what that voice told me? I will die without alcohol. I heard those words. It scared the crap out of me. I couldn't believe that's what my brain told me, because I am smart. I have 2 master's degrees. And I got chills, and I looked at her, and I said, yes, I can. Because I got so scared by what I heard from this brain. And I wasn't even like, a lot of you drink and you enjoy it and it's fun, and I'm happy for you. No, I kind of hate you, but I'm happy that people can enjoy alcohol. It's fabulous, except for some of us whose genes go, more. It's ridiculous, right? So now don't worry, I make up for it with chocolate, frozen yogurt. I go there like 2 to 3 times a week. I know I have a problem, but I will get some counseling on it. So literally, I went home and I took that beautiful bottle of Merlot, and I popped it open, I got that cork out, and as I was pouring it down the sink, you know the aroma of wine. Somebody can say, oh, Maura, you should have been drinking Jameson's. What were you doing with the wine? I mean, really, don't go whining at the nitrites. I had everything to do not to grab a glass and take one last drink. I want to tell you, and I tell you the story, my friend Mary is supposed to be here tonight, and she's not, because she stopped drinking and she, as we say in the business, went back out. She is like really seriously having trouble. And I'm like, how did I have that moment? Some little guardian angels over my shoulder saying, just pour it all out, honey girl. I went to an AA meeting that night, sat way in the back corner, had my hat pulled over my eyes. I sat there like this, listening, thinking, I am not an alcoholic, I am not an alcoholic, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't know who these people are, and I'm not going to talk. 1 solid year, went to these meetings, sat like that, until I gradually, over the period of about 1.5 years, moved down closer. Didn't talk yet. But I want to tell you what I heard. I can't believe I'm even telling you the story. Really. I heard people just like me. And I thought, damn, I hate that. They're just like me. They're nice, they're funny, they've got jobs, they have relationships, they've got houses, they've got kids. I don't have kids, but that's okay, I don't need kids. I mean, I was amazed, and as my head started to clear, I no longer had that brain fog, that clammy hands, the churning stomach, the dizzy feeling. All of a sudden, I was clear-headed. 24 years ago this month, I poured that wine down his drain, and you know what? I celebrate every day. Someone would say to me, you know, I'm kind of worried about my life. I'm like, I am like, so grateful. And I'm aware that's my story, nobody else's. But I'm alive. And I'm so grateful to be here to tell you that story. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Maura. Congratulations. So we are going to, we have one more teller, and then we're going to take a break, and you're going to vote, and you're going to come back. We've got some t-shirts to give away. We're going to throw some t-shirts into the audience. I meant to do that sort of halfway between, but I don't want to break the moment right now, so we're just going to move on with the final teller. So our last teller, David Alexander, when he contacted me about this, he was very concerned that he was too old. He was like, he assured me, I've done Cycle Oregon and done all these things, and you know, I'm really healthy. And I was like, David, that's fantastic. You old people are the best storytellers. So anyway, he's done a lot of things. He is a playwright. He's written made-for-TV movies. Boy, I can't remember everything he's done, but he's been on Backfence PDX. He's been on The Moth a number of times. He won a Grand Slam. Was it in Seattle?
No, Portland. I did a main stage for Seattle.
Oh, okay. He did a main stage in Seattle, but he won the Grand Slam here in Portland. And he is, he's just a very accomplished individual. So I wrote down a bunch of stuff to tell about him, and I can't remember any of it. So. Come on up, David. Tell us your story.
There we go. Good. Thanks, Brian. As we get older, it becomes more difficult to recall memories that we have stored in that vast library stored up here. But there are certain memories that are so vivid, so focused that they stay with us the rest of our lives. For me, the summer of 1946 is one of those. I was almost 12 years old that summer and living in Denver, Colorado. I spent most of those warm summer days with pals like Rich, Herbie, and Johnny Marr. We all hung out together, rode our bikes, played on the same baseball team. Johnny, besides being and having a fantastic fastball, was a major league prankster. And if you were the target of one of those, then it was known that you were and had just been Johnny Mark. Now, I remember it was early in July, first week in July, and it was hot, and it was too hot to go bike riding. So we were all hunkered down in Rich's backyard, reading comic books, when Johnny suggested we get on our bikes and ride out to Crown Hill Cemetery. And we said, why in the world would we want to go out there? And Johnny said, because they got a big building out there where you bury dead people in the walls. Boom, comic books on the ground, we're off on our bikes, everybody excited. Everybody but one. I was carrying around a deep, dark secret that I hadn't told anybody, especially my friends. Early that year, I had seen a movie called The Cat and the Canary, and it's supposedly a great comedy starring Bob Hope. Well, right off the bat, I didn't find anything funny about the setting. It all took place in this big, huge, ghost-like mansion, and it was always nighttime with scary music playing in the background. And then I didn't find any humor at all in a maniac who carried around a big butcher knife whose long steel blade glimmered in the moonlight as he made his way through dark, secret passages inside the walls of the great mansion. And I didn't laugh at all when that same monster would open sliding panels behind people's beds and reach out with his big butcher knife to kill them while they slept on their backs. Some people in the theater laughed. I got a phobia. I was terrified of the dark, of big butcher knives, and of sleeping on your back. Now, at Crown Hill, we found out that this big building Johnny had told us about was called the Mausoleum. It was all marble and granite and stained glass windows. And inside we had the place pretty much to ourselves. And we walked down these big, wide marble aisles with high arched ceilings. And our footsteps clattered and echoed on all the stone walls and stone floors. And yet, they did bury people in the walls, 6 high. And on the marble face of each tomb, and that's what they called them, was engraved a name, dates, and an epitaph. And we decided right off the bat that we'd see who could find the oldest burial date. So before long, we're all spread out, quietly searching. When after a few minutes of that, I heard the clatter of footsteps running up stone stairs and echoing off the stone walls and stone floor. And it was Johnny, and he came around the corner, and he hollered at me, Dave, Dave. And he hollered loud enough to scare the dead. And we all got together, and he said, you've got to see what I found down on the basement floor. So we all went down, and everything was scaled back down there. There were no high arched ceilings, no stained glass windows, only narrow aisles, fluorescent lights, and tombs stacked 3 high. And he took us back to a tomb that had a black velvet curtain draped across the front. And he opened the curtain, and it was an empty tomb. Now, there was a full tomb above him and below him and on each side. And the one on our right had the name engraved, Cyrus Higgins, born 1802, died 1897. Now, we knew the building wasn't that old. And Johnny said, they must have dug him up to put him in here. And then that scared the hell out of all of us. He pointed out on one of the edges of Cyrus' tomb, where it joined in with the empty one, that some of the joint ceiling was missing. And there was a long, dark crack that led right into Cyrus's tomb. And then he said, maybe if I look in here, I can see that Cyrus is all oozy. And he bent down, and we went with him. And slowly his eye got closer and closer to that dark crack. Wah! Jumped up, we ran halfway up the aisle, scared to death, until we realized it was Johnny who yelled, and he was laughing his full head off. We all went back, rather embarrassed. Of course, me, I said, didn't scare me a bit, didn't scare me at all. And he just smiled and he said, really? Then he suggested that one by one, we take turns, lying in that empty tomb. We had to count to 100, slowly count before coming out. The old big mouth here had to go first. So staying away from Cyrus and that horrible crack as far away as I could, I crawled head first into the tomb and stretched out and laid down, on my back. And Johnny pulled the curtain shut. I began to count. 1, I didn't like it in there. 2, it was dark in there, just dark enough that my fear began to raise its ugly head. I looked down past my feet and I could see little bits of light leaking in around the edges of the curtain, which made me feel a little bit better. But by the time I counted 10, all those lights went out, and it was pitch black in there. Oh, the curtain, I yelled, nobody answered. Then panic took over. I wanted out of there. And I started to scoot forward, and then I stopped, and I remembered that horrible crack. An oozing Cyrus Vance waiting to reach out with a knife with a long steel blade glimmering in the moonlight. And I took a deep breath with my heart pounding. I splintered out of that and fell on down the tomb and fell in the aisle floor, and the aisle was empty and dark. And I picked myself up and I started to run for the stairs, knowing sure well that Cyrus was right behind me, reaching. I took the stairs 3 at a time, exploded into the main hall, and sprinted for the doors leading outside. A guard came up behind me and said, "Stop, Bob!" And I wasn't going to stop Bob for anybody. I was like, I flew down that hallway, sprung through the doors, and back into the warm sunshine. There were my pals, sitting on their bicycles, grinning at me. I had just been Johnny Marr. And I found out later that Herbie and Rich were in on it from the get-go. Funny part about it is, from that moment on, I was no longer afraid of the dark. Big butcher knives, hard sleeping on my back. Now, about a week later, a real monster, whose name put the fear in everybody's heart, paid a visit to Denver. His name was Polio, and he was terrifying. By the end of July, he created a full-blown epidemic. The city closed all the swimming pools, canceled boys baseball, and any other crowd-related activities were also canceled. And a lot of people think back on it now, and they think of polio as being just a crippler. But I'm here to tell you, polio was a cold-blooded killer. A lot of kids and a lot of young adults died that summer. And alone, about the end of August, he left town as quickly as he'd come, leaving behind terrible pain and sorrow. It seems like everybody knew somebody that they had lost. In the days before school started, my pals and I rode out to Crown Hill Cemetery to say goodbye to the one we'd lost. It was quiet there as we stood there, gazing down at that granite headstone engraved saying, Johnny Marr, gone home early, born April 7th, 1934, died August 17th, 1946. And as we left, Herbie reached down and touched Johnny's headstone. And one by one, we all did the same. No, I'll never forget 1946.
Thank you, David. Powerful story. Well, so now the time has come for great storytellers, and your job is to, well, they're all winners, but you have to pick somebody to send to the finale next week. So we're going to take a quick break, about 15 minutes, and the cookies and coffee and everything upstairs, the ballot boxes are upstairs and downstairs. Please vote before you get your cookies. And we will flick the lights upstairs and we'll run through and make an announcement for people to come back downstairs. Also, please, we have surveys to fill out. If you can fill them out, that helps us decide what to do with future festival events. So we'll go ahead and hit the lights here, and if you need anything, there's volunteers around.
Say hello to your son.
I doubt he's still watching.